Okay, good evening and good morning. I'll just give a little bit of an introduction because I think there are a few new people and a few are people who regularly come to our course. The need for this, normally when we come together, we do some kind of practices for the body, what we refer as the inner body work, the deeper body work. So I'll introduce that. Basically, there are ways in which the body can be healed, molded, transformed. And across the ages, people have explored it in one way or the other. Much of what I learn is from integral yoga, especially the work of the mother on her cells, which is quite advanced. But we take it at whatever level we can. But I'm also very curious, wherever there is body work, I have been exploring as best as I can, including on the local texts, which is Tamil for me. And there are certain traditions of what are called siddhas who have also worked on the body and have done some apparently very good levels of work. So as a combination of all this, my interest in research always has been to cull out a few tiny practices which we've been sharing together. And people here have come for the retreats, people here have come for the short or long workshops. But today or a couple of days back, I felt that, normally when we come for a practice, we just do the practice and go. So I just wanted to have a small 1 hour, which serves two purposes. One is for new people, whatever this is, in a more dialogue-oriented way, they can get to know. So people can ask questions. What exactly is this body work? And also, there are few people here who are practitioners. We're all been practicing for a short or a long time. So to open the space for some kind of questions. So this is, there's not any practice today. We'll do more of a dialogue. So you can ask something, you can share something, and then I'll add on. And if somebody else has who's been practicing has another point, they can share. So that is the agenda of today. So just to give take a minute more, the capacity of the body to transform is huge. What people have attempted is extraordinary, sometimes what the mind can't fathom. Normally what happens is basically what we're dealing with is there is a property in the body that just keeps absorbing. It just keeps absorbing. But so everything in existence is made of, there is substance, there is a liquid form, and then there is a gaseous form. So everything has a basic solid part, the solidity, the substance part. So true is the body. But our body's substance is perhaps one of the best in the world. We keep searching for so many things, but the substance of our body is the best in the world. It is it has the living presence of the divine also, which many paths have confirmed. And it's not so much just about leaving the body to access. The divine and the divine qualities are present inside the body and the substance itself. So this becomes a very interesting phenomenon and a substance. But however, our normal day-to-day life and living and experience is very different. Each of us have our own problems, our own illnesses. We go through emotional churns and desires and all of that stuff, which, take our body away from what it can be. And we all deal with these difficulties. So today is a very practical session. I'll leave the floor open very soon. It is possible to transform the body. It is possible to heal it from its imperfections, both physical, emotional, sensorial. There are certain things that take a longer time than less. And also there is a domain of the subconscious, which is both individual and collective, that also can be transformed. And the body can slowly learn to absorb the higher qualities, qualities like beauty, qualities like love. And these are not esoteric terms that we are talking about. All of this has a presence. Like even the breath work that we do, it's not just the nostril breathing, but there is a prana layer all around us. Okay. So all of these can permeate into the body. So that's why this time I've used the word alchemy, which means that our body can be cooked into something which is better, superior, etc. In this context, I leave the floor open. Both the new people and the people who have been coming for a while, feel free to ask questions and then we'll take it from here. So who would like to ask a question or share?
Can I ask a question?
Yes, yes, please.
I was told that mother's feet heal any ailment. So I have not really experienced that. Is it some shortcoming in me, or how would you go about invoking her feet? Because I know that she can heal a lot, but I would like to go deeper into this, please.
Okay, yeah. So let me share my understanding. The feet of the master is, or for example, there is this gesture that sometimes masters do, living masters do, where they take the feet and put it on the head of the disciple or sadhak. It is considered as the highest blessing because from the feet, consciousness directly transmits. So this is a reality which has been established across traditions. Now, when we are connecting to a living master, or for example, when we are connecting to a master who lives in another dimension, in both ways. So if there is a living master, what would it be? We would go, place our hand, touch the feet, and stay there for a second or stay there, whatever time is allowed. You would stay there, and there is a direct transmission. There's a transmission from the feet to you. Similarly, when we touch, so we need to learn to touch the feet of, for example, the mother. And so what are we touching? So you can touch a photograph, okay? But through the photograph, we are entering into their subtle body. Now, this takes initially, so even the faith is enough. For example, you just touch the photograph, it is enough. But taking from a perspective of sadhana, where we have an infinite potential, the next layer is I feel her feet. And this is not just imagination. Slowly we enter into a subtle body and we touch it. Now, there is a small difference here is when I go and do this act, for me to get a benefit for healing, it has one level of benefit. When I just do this, as a posture that I truly want to learn to touch the feet of the mother, or for me, the favorite is hair of Sri Aurobindo. That is my favorite for some reason. So whenever I need something concrete, the Samadhi photograph is right here. So I just feel into the hair and I get the strength. I get some light. So it's almost a source. The feet of the master becomes a source. We take our time to drop from the level of, from where do I connect? I drop the level of even an agenda into it. I keep connecting, and there is a transfer. But I want to add one more dimension. When you go down, there is a domain below our feet. Okay, so when you go down, sufficiently down, you will find the feet of the master as a direct experience. And sometimes it's not just one feet, you find layers of feet. So this is part of the sadhana as far as I understand. So it's not about something is right or wrong.
Ask?
Yeah. Yes, please.
Blue light also, or it has to be white. Can it be a blue light of Sri Aurobindo?
Yes. So the color signifies the consciousness. So let it emerge on its own. So there are two things here. One is the way we have seen them in the photographs is not necessarily the way they are right now in the subtle world. In fact, when you read the agenda, there's a lot of description where mother would say that she meets Sri Aurobindo and he looks different. So our entire exercise is almost like, let's say a child comes in front of you, and every time the child is different, and you're just looking at the child, in a similar way, every time approach the feet, either through the photo or down or wherever, and it'll show up how it shows up at that point of time. your own inner sense would tell you if it's a genuine feat or if it is not a genuine feat. And if you feel it's a genuine feat, you can connect. And that definitely has an impact on the body. Okay.
Thank you
I
so
am Parashar.
Yes,
Can I
please.
ask you?
Yes, please.
I am Parashar.
Yes.
While meditating, it also cropped in me that we have got this aura. Everybody has got the aura, one way or the other. And the sun rays, which contains a lot of frequencies and wavelengths and light. So why we cannot or we can convert those sun rays into our body cells, which normally the solar panels is converting solar energy into electricity, or vegetal world is converting its food from the sun rays. Like that, our human body, which is so much containing so much possibilities, why the sun rays, which we get it from our aura or our subtle body, and convert it directly nutrition to our cells and convert into a still subtle, ready to receive the mother's grace or Sri Aurobindo's consciousness, Krishna consciousness, something like that, which I'm still in the middle way. I would ask you to give me some light on this if it's possible.
Okay, I'll answer partially to the level of my awareness and my sadhana on this area. First of all, there is the physical aspect. Okay, so I go and stand in front of the sun, either with my eyes closed or open, if it's a baby sun for some time. There's a physical connection, and certainly there is an absorption. I myself have felt a huge difference when I do sun gazing and other ways in terms of my consciousness. There is a huge impact, and which has been sufficiently documented. However, what is more important in my understanding is to access the non-physical suns. Okay. Now, the non-physical suns, that's another exploration. I can explore that above my head. I can explore that in the cave of my heart. I can explore that below my feet. I can access that. Like if you go deep into the depth of your body, you will come to a point where it is lit. So the aspect of this is also there in the non-physical form. And so for example, if you are either days or years of sadhana, that you suddenly open up to light somewhere, then what actually happens is it has a profound impact. And the purpose of all the deeper body work at the end of the day is only two things. One, can the body release the stuff the limiting stuff that has been absorbed? One. Two, can it release this, and can it receive the higher? So it is certainly possible.
So the question is that from the physical sun, we go to the sun which you are talking about the subtle sun,
Yes.
which in the meditations we get sometimes the glimpses of those sun existing. So I would like to try to connect both of that, conversion of the physical sun into the subtle sun.
I don't know. I don't know the answer to your question. How do you convert the physical sun to the subtle sun? But
convert means in our thinking or in our meditation processes. That's what I mean. As if we are thinking or we are feeling it. The physical sun rays are penetrating us. It is converting into a consciousness which is lightening up in the inside, and we are still becoming more receptive.
okay,
From the vibrations of the
come back
mother
with a little
and the
bit
light
more.
from the Arbindo.
Okay, I'll come back with a little bit more practice on this, because my exploration on the physical sun is limited to sun gazing once in a while. So let me come back with after a couple of months of exploring this.
Okay.
Can I just ask you a question?
Yes, please.
I would like to go deep into reading of the Savitri, but I don't understand. I don't know how many pages to read. Or can you just pick any page at random Or can you please throw light on how to read Savitri with mother's blessing, please?
Okay, I'm just sharing my way. Each one has a way of relating to Savitri. You can just pick one single line, and that's enough. Okay, so it's a very intuitive journey. You pick the Savitri in your hand. First is to establish a relationship with the book, with the consciousness behind, and then I open it. I may read a few pages or I may read a line. It doesn't matter. But suddenly you feel that something is gripping into you, something is talking to you, something lights up. It is enough to focus on that, whether it is one word or one line. I'm a person who's not read the Savitri. Only last year, when there was a Savitri Yajna that was being done, I was part of a full reading. Before that, I've never read the full. So you just soak in, soak in, soak in, soak in, and suddenly what you will find is you will feel a connection. Then later on, maybe a day or two or a week, you come by and read that what is described to the level to which we are eligible, that experience opens up by itself. We don't have to do anything. So you just connect, you just soak in, and that's it. You carry on with your life. You know, every day or whatever you do, then sometimes you come back to what you've read, and the experience opens up by itself to the extent that you're eligible. So it's that simple.
So just at random you can read, right?
You can do.
Thank you so much. Thank
Yes, I agree, Arul Dev. I mean, I also feel the same thing. Whenever I read some Savitri's meaning line, and as if I'm traveling along with the description.
Yes. Thank you. Any other questions, others who are here?
Hi,
Hi,
Aruba.
Kunjan. Hi.
So I have a question related to sadhana. When there is a 1 hour sadhana we do on Sundays, I get very tired after 20 minutes or so, 25 minutes, and I am then physically not able to continue. So, what may be the reason?
Wonderful. You don't have to change anything. You just have to modify your sadhana according to that. So most of my sadhana, apart from these sessions that I do, is with eyes open throughout the day. I'm doing sadhana. Okay, so the concentration levels will be poor because I am actively involved in my office work, but I feel somewhat awkward if there is no proper connection. I feel like just an ordinary human being. So something calls from within. So I do something, whatever practice, I pick it up. But like when I do it in a group or when I sit and do it, I may do it with a better concentration. But when I'm doing it alongside work, I may have only 20% concentration, but it still works. So if your cutoff point is 25 minutes, I would suggest do a sadhana 15 minutes and break it off. Even if you're doing our sessions, you know, I think some sessions are 30 minutes, some sessions are 60 minutes. And if you feel exhausted at the 25%, 25-minute point, in 15-20 minutes, you stop, you get up, you take a walk, you walk around, just leave the thing on. So the whole thing, what I've understood is we need to be sincere, but we don't have to be caught up. So you go with your rhythm. I've met you in person, and I've actually found your levels of sadhana extremely high, you know, even when you were just coming into this. So you go with your rhythm, and with your rhythm, do your best. And slowly certain capacities and faculties open up, and that is good enough.
Alright, because when I do sadhana with you, I feel really intense. Something really out of the like it's a out of the box experience, extraordinary experiences I get. So after a while, I have observed that that's all. Like what you are saying, the exhaustion points come.
No, you cut the, even you can get off the session also. There is no problem.
Okay.
You just
So
put
I don't push myself.
No. Because
Okay.
see, what actually happens is your body should give the clue. Your
Mm.
body should give the clue. And I would suggest you should not hit that exhaustion point. You should not hit the fatigue point. Because when you hit the fatigue point, what has been gained will get lost.
Okay.
So you have to navigate it well, So either you cut it off and then come and take the recording, or you just take a walk, come back, or you start doing the practice walking around. You can do it without getting into fatigue, and you will figure your own method out of this.
Okay. And I have one more question.
Yes.
How do I separate my experience of sadhana from the memories I have of a day or a yesterday or anything, of some screening maybe? Actually, what happens with me? Sometimes I feel, is it my screening memories? So, how do I separate that?
I don't think I'll just answer the way I'm doing it. I don't think we are separating. Okay, so what actually happens is when I come, can others mute yourself who are not speaking so that we get a clear space? Yeah.
No, no, sorry, my mic was open when my son came inside.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
okay. So when we do the sadhana, this is the baggage which we bring into the sadhana table. My present, my past memories which are lingering, let's say the last couple of hours or the yesterday that is streaming, you are bringing all of this into the sadhana. So there is nothing to take away or add into the whole thing. This is what we bring in. Now, the introduction to this, the small video I put, I literally mean what I'm saying. You have to add ingredients to this. So I have come, last 2 days has been my life, up and down. I've come to the sadhana table. Why am I coming to the sadhana table? I'm coming to the sadhana table for two reasons. If something is unnecessary that is lingering, I want to release it. But I would even emphasize more important is to receive something. Okay. Like if I'm around plants, I will receive their energy inside me. So in a similar manner, the entire baggage, even if you separate, nothing can be separated because all the memories are embedded. It's all embedded here. It's embedded here. So you bring all of that. And now it's a sadhana is an everyday sadhana should be an experiment, not a formula you throw out. So let's say we learned 2, 3 methods, and if we are just repeating that, beyond a point, it becomes mechanical. Every day it's an experiment. So you bring this to the table, and let's say we did a practice saying connect above the head. So you connect above the head, and nothing changes. The mind is noisy, the feeling is yucky, then the process is not working. So now you will experiment. You will just take this and say, okay, so why is it not working? Okay, so let me truly connect above. Okay, I'm not able to connect above. Let me take a book. You take a book where the person has connected above. I have many books like that. If I'm not able to access it, I'll read a book. In about 5 minutes of reading a book, because I'm connecting to the book in some way, I access some of that consciousness. Then I'll check, okay, how is my being? How is my thought? This has to shift by what you're connecting. So your sadhana is an experiment. So without worrying about what you're bringing in, which will include your past, which will include reactions, you put all of that on the table, and now you follow the process. Either you're requesting that to be released, but receiving is even more important. So you're connecting. And truly, is it making a difference? Is the mind getting calmer? Is that particular part of the body that is holding suffering, is that part of the body opening up? That is our experiment called sadhana.
Thank you.
Okay, so every day is fresh. You are nuancing it, you are enjoying it. And that's when I think the whole process becomes very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Anybody else? Any questions?
Can you share with us any personal experience of yours with the Divine Mother, please?
A personal experience of the Divine Mother is when, these vary from person to person. My most personal, my most profound was at one point of time when I was going through a difficulty in terms of handling my own energies. I'm in nature, I'm a very intense person. So through sadhana, there's been a little bit of balance that has come. But in my weak moments, I get a little bit intense. So there was at one point of time this a combination of desires, intensities that was rolling over, and I was not operating on my centered posture. And then there was this huge picture of the mother, and maybe I'll just share two. This is the second. I'll share the one after this. I just connected to the picture, and some of these rare phenomenons happen when I connect. The picture becomes larger. This has been my first experience of meeting Mother and Sri Aurobindo. Was I walked into somebody's room in Arul, and I went to the bedroom. Apparently, I just walked up and I stood in front of the two huge pictures of Mother and Sri Aurobindo. They were too huge, and I just stood for about a couple of minutes. That was my first introduction, and I came down. And I came back to Chennai. After a couple of weeks, I went back to the house, and then I said, I want to just go up and look. And they said, yeah, go up. It was a couple's house. I went up, and the pictures were small. So I came down and said, why you changed the picture? They said, no, the pictures are not changed. They are the same. So that was my first introduction, and the second time when I was going through this very problematic, I again connected to the mother, and her picture became large, and I felt white substance all over her body. And there was I mean, I don't know if I made it up or I felt it. I don't know. I still feel it was the mother. She said, just connect to me, and all of the desires will dissolve in my body. All of that desires, all of that excesses that you are having will dissolve in my white substance. And that was what I felt. And that was a very significant experience for me.
So interesting. So interesting. Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions? Anybody from your sadhana of the body?
Arul, I have a question for you.
Yes, please.
How does one, be present for the family while you're, maybe even in a session, there's something important has to be taken care of. Maybe it's a meal for the child or something. And you want to also somehow stay connected to the collective aspiration, because somewhere it would have a positive transformation for you, whether directly or in the subconscious. How does one then slowly keep that balance of active responsibilities, and while we are doing this, I understand we don't separate it, but how does one take baby steps along the way?
I'll just share from my what I do. Two things I do is most of my relationships, whether it is the close family or outside, most of the time when I'm interacting, or even in my office, I do a typical 8:30 a.m. to a 6 p.m. job. I sit on the desk in my office and interacting with a lot of stuff. In all this, I do my sadhana. And there was so for example, I was just reading another book today, one of the Siddhas, and here again, they make a mention that the purpose of life is to observe the dance of breath, and that's how I've been feeling now for the last couple of years. I've done this purpose of my life business for 29 years now. The last couple of years, it's always been just do your sadhana. So when I'm able to manage it, and certain times the relationships goes through ups and downs, or things could be challenging, and you feel that it's taking time away from, let's say your sadhana or what you want to do. Yes, and you would manage it as best as you can. And if not, then I do the sadhana at that point of time. And this is what has helped me. This is the first answer. Second answer is, now it's come to a point, maybe over the years or maybe facilitating like this, I've now come to a point where I assist them on the sadhana also. So for example, somebody close to me, it has to do a particular sadhana. Now I just do it along with them also, and so that's just
Mm.
my life at this point of time. Now, you can also do it without them knowing. It's okay. You don't have to always go and say, hey, I'm taking your permission, to connect deeper into the cave of your heart. You don't have to, when it is close family and your intentions are genuine and there's no manipulation. So these two ways is how I've handled it. One that have been doing for long as I do the sadhana. Now what I do is with most of my relationships, and see, there are some people I won't do anything because aspiration is not there. With some people where I know the aspiration, I do the sadhana along with them or for them, and this makes it interesting for me.
Okay. Thank you. That's a clue. We do it for them.
It is
I
making
think.
a big difference, actually. It's making a profound difference, and maybe at a later point, I'll share more on that. Now it's come to a point where I do a lot of sadhana for my close people, actually.
Yeah, because I feel that the challenges are, everyone being in different places. That aspect which Mother talks about, positive mental formations,
Mm,
having a very strong impact on, the receptivity. Because naturally, as family, you're already in some way tuned
mm,
to the receptivity, and then you are able to send those formations on a regular basis,
mm,
as well as keep for yourself, because
mm,
I think that anchor is what has been interesting me over the
mm,
last couple of years.
mm.
uh, how to be present for yourself and for the family.
Yeah.
So
I think
thank
you
you.
can, thank you. Yeah, you can take it. For me right now, to be very honest with you, my sadhana for others sometimes takes more time than my sadhana for me. Okay, but it doesn't deplete me actually. Because I have to do the sadhana for somebody, I have to be that much centered. Okay, and my current life is more sadhana for others, uh, not my past and the current. But that makes things very interesting. So yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, so
Can I say a few
yes,
words?
yes.
I've been alone now for 5 years. I'm staying alone and my boy is away. And I'm facing a lot of challenges of all sorts. And sometimes I give up. I said, look, how I'm getting old now, how am I going to manage? But I look at a mother's picture, I feel, I think you're living with me. I say to her, I think you're living with me. Otherwise, I won't be able to pull through. And I think in a way, she is living with me and in whatever way, but I'm convinced that without her, I would not have managed these so many years.
Correct. Yeah.
So, she's really amazing, really amazing.
Yes, yeah. There's a question from Suji. Can you share the process of how you can do it for loved ones? Suji, that part I don't want to share now here in a public group at this point, because then I take the responsibility of people attempting something that they're not ready for. So I will not be able to fully answer that question, but I can partially answer that question in an appropriate manner, keeping in mind the group has both people new and people who are practicing for a while. Literally, you can do almost anything. That's all the clue that I would give you. It depends on two fronts. Okay, how much the other person trusts you. This is the most important. And at a true level, if the other person truly trusts you, the first factor is trust. Two, the aspirations have to be aligned. If these two are there, you can practically do anything. So, for example, if the loved one is going through a trouble and there is, let's say, an emotion stuck in their body, just to give you a simple example, how would you do the basic body process for yourself? You will keep your hand, or you'll just sit, you'll be with the breath, and you'll request the body to release. Let's just take this particular process. You can also do it for the other person. You can just sit beside the person, or forget sitting beside the person. That person can be in Australia. You can simply connect and do it, provided many things, provided you're neutral, provided you've done the inner work, and provided you can just sit and do it. So these kinds of things, when you're doing for somebody, takes time. It's not just a minute or two activity. Sometimes you do it for half an hour. Sometimes you have to do it for 1 month. Sometimes you have to do it for 2, 3 weeks, not continuously, here and there, here and there. So practically, you can do anything you can do along with the person, two conditions. The other person has to trust you. I won't even say that the other person's body has to trust you. And there is a difference here. They may say things, but the other person's body has to give permission and the aspirations needs to be aligned. In such a case, you can do it.
Thanks, Arul.
One
Yeah.
question.
Yes.
One question. Hello.
Yes, please.
Yeah. While meditating, a stage comes when you go deeper and deeper. That means you are enjoying meditation and going in depth more and more. Then a stage comes when I suddenly get jerk and I just wake up myself from within. But that experience is so beautiful and so pleasurable that would like to go repeat it again and again. And I again go for the concentration and meditating. And again, after reaching certain depth in the concentration, get the jerk and enjoying. But I wake up. So that goes on. I would like to know what it is.
As far as I understand, it's a bridge that needs to be built. As far as I understand, in the limited time that we have and what I'm hearing from you. So you reach a particular point where there is a jerk or a break. It could mean few things that, let's say, the experience is getting cut, or maybe the body is not ready for it, or a bridge has to be built, which means that, there are layers and layers and layers.
Yeah.
Okay, so now the best is to do the sadhana at that point. So next time you come into the practice, you don't even have to go from this to that point. You can just start at that point where the break is occurring and then do the sadhana there so that the bridge gets built, so that the next layer can open up. That's how I understand it.
Now, somebody told me that the body is not prepared to accept that much depth and it has to be cultivated by repetition or by practice or something like that.
So you go to that point and bridge it. So instead of always building up to that, stay at that point. One thing in sadhana, what I've understood is, since we don't have much time, most of us, and we're not giving sufficient and intense time, we have to take the process across time. Now, every time you can't do a build-up and come to a particular point where the difficulty is occurring. So let's say you've discovered that the next time you're starting the sadhana, if you train yourself, you'll start it there itself, the point where the difficulty is, and sit there and do the sadhana, the bridge would be made.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll try that.
Yes, please. Okay. So Vasu, there's a question. Can you please recommend, just one second, I'll just finish this question. Can you please recommend reading resources that will help us progress? I can't read Tamil, but I can understand Tamil very well. So Vasu, readings, I mean, I'll just take it briefly. So my favorites are Savitri, Mother's Agenda. I've been always posting what I'm reading. So for example, this particular book I'm reading, which is one on Siddhas, there's an English translation also. Maybe offline I'll put it. You just asked it in one of the groups and I'll put a couple of books which are really helpful for me. Any other question? There was a gentleman who was asking something.
Hi, Arul.
Hi,
Shilpa here. Just you've mentioned nourishment to stay in the body. In kind of going through any of the processes that you've asked or just my own practice, there's a very tangible feeling of even below the legs of in fact, a cave and a blue light and Sri Aurobindo, and it's kind of flowing from the sun and up and down, and it's a very tangible visual sensation. And at the same time, I know you have mentioned sometimes that the nourishment has to stay in there. And in this, what is the substance that it kind of feels almost contradictory that one straight away and closing one's eyes can feel this, and yet at the same time, something is obviously not staying there to sustain. And again, with busy life, I completely get how you're saying of doing it with your eyes open and the full day, and the remembrance is how it helps me of remembering the mother. And so that experience comes in, albeit momentarily. So what is the way, I know you mentioned, like, with a football, you mentioned, it's like it has to, the softness of the football, you're going below, go into the depth. And yet somewhere this sense of, okay, what is the nourishment that is not staying there to sustain the whole time?
Yeah, it's a good question actually, and interestingly, a few clues have been emerging in the recent past, as recent as a few days. See, the much has to do with both our substance, but also with our inner senses. Okay, and we have the inner eye, we have the inner ear, which is how we are sensing everything. Now, the inner eye has to, so for example, even as you described, I could just feel exactly what you're sharing, and there's so much of power in the substance of what you are sharing. Now, something has to, I'm using a crude word here, something has to eat it, something has to absorb it. Okay, now what is, so it has to pass through, right? And that is your inner senses. So the inner, this is a work which is slowly we're going to do a bit more and more from now. The inner eye that is there has to slowly see the nourishment. The inner ear that is there should hear the nourishment, should feel it, and all of that stuff. So when that is occurring, so the what is coming in, which is extremely rich, starts going deeper and deeper into the body substance. So it's a function of the inner senses and it perceiving this, perceiving the nourishment a bit more. Because now in your description of the problem, there is a certain perception of the limitation, which is there in the body itself. The body is perceiving the limitation. So what's occurring is the inner eye, the inner ear, the inner felt sense is sensing these. Okay. Now, and there is a certain stuckness or a stickiness that is coming in there. So there's the other one should be far more. So slowly we got to train our inner senses to be able to see the nourishment and draw drawing the nourishment happens naturally. It is enhanced with the prana. It is enhanced with the prana. It is enhanced with a sound or whatever. But just opening the eye or opening the ear, opening the senses a bit more to the nourishment will absorb it deeper into the body substance. This is a new understanding, and in the next few workshops, this will get far more refined.
Work in progress. Thank you.
I must thank Siji here, who's on session. It is through her that I got this process clarified. She asked a question yesterday to me. She's in that depth workshop, and I couldn't find the time. So I actually picked the call, when I was doing something else. She had a profound experience, but what she didn't know was something that I've been working for long settled in. It is by talking to her that I got this process clarified yesterday. And the next workshops will be focusing a lot on this. Any other questions? Anybody?
Hello. Can I ask?
Yes, please. Hi.
Mm.
Yeah.
In a recent exercise last week, you mentioned about the condensing and the expanding the body substance.
Yes.
In that you have mentioned that think of a central pillar, and we condense and expand from there. But mainly we could think it around the head, neck, chest, and abdomen, the limbs remaining away.
Yeah.
And sometimes the limbs may carry more of a difficulty
painful things and all.
Yeah.
So how to
Yeah, it's
connect
true.
that?
I think your observation is accurate. See, first of all, I just want to emphasize a bit on this condense and letting go. I frankly feel it's one of the most important process in body work. Okay, it's like you compress the substance, you expand the substance. You compress the substance, you expand the substance. Now, this vertical column that we are talking about is not so much an imagination, but it is real. So, for example, the breath movement that is going on, and my connection above the head, and my connection below, by nature forms the vertical column. But there will be gaps. Okay, the gaps are because so for example, you may get a good connection above, you may get a breath here, but let us say the limbs, the legs or whatsoever, your connection may not be good for various reasons. Okay, for example, there's a particular part of my leg where the consciousness has been a bit down now for 3 years, purely because just before my father passed on, I saw his leg in a particular way, just a few minutes before he passing on. And it still has a profound impact. And I've not worked on this. I've worked on many other memories, but this one I've not worked on. So I know that cold state has an imprint on a particular part of my leg. And today morning when I was checking, that part is not even aware. It's very closed. Okay. So now my column is cut at that point. Okay. So now I have to work through it. So there's one job, which is to slowly make this connection more living, more continuous. And that itself is a lifetime work. So when you're condensing, you're scooping into that. So it's a very sacred thing. When you condense correctly, the sacredness will increase in the substance itself. So you're scooping into that and you're connecting, and then you're just relaxing, expanding and connecting to vastness. So there are many steps in this. I have to build this vertical line. I have to learn to condense. I have to wait at that point when things comes together. Then I have to learn to connect to vastness. And that's another subject by itself. One of the best books in which I understood vastness, apart from Mother Sri Aurobindo's writings, there's this book called The 10 Cosmic Powers by Shankara Narayanan or somebody. He's a disciple of in Integral Yoga. Some connection is there. He describes Bhuvaneshwari, the Devi Bhuvaneshwari, as space, as a self-existent space that upholds everything. It is that gave me a truer, because earlier I took vasanas as sensorial expansion, freedom. But when I read that and felt that, I could experience it as a divine presence. So then what occurs? You're condensing into the vertical column, which is divine, and you're expanding into the divine quality. So it is that important a process, but we have to build all these steps through years of practice.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
What was the name of that book again, Arul?
10 Cosmic Powers by Shankara Narayanan. You won't get the book in the market, but the PDF is available through some of those. So just the 10 Cosmic Powers, Shankara Narayanan. It's a profound book. So if you don't get it, just message me privately. I think I have the PDF. I'll share. Any other questions? So any other questions?
Okay.
Yes. So literally, yes, please.
Umesh here. I would like to ask something, if the time is okay.
Yeah.
So, you all often talk about the micro practice, like 1 minute practice or even few seconds practice. And you also talk about the connection to something that's real, something that's not imagined but real. But most often during our day, this real connection gets disconnected. And you are starting the practice at a kind of confused or a low stage. So, what to do in that case? Like, should I try to get a connection first and then practice, or just start observing the breath and see what happens? Or like,
No,
what do you?
No, you can use imagination. So this is my handicap, okay? My handicap is I'm a very hands-on guy, so I always insist on going for that. Also, what happened was in one of the long courses I did some time back, 1 year, people were all imagining, and I didn't understand that, they used to imagine all kinds of stuff. So 6 months later, I found out that there's nothing that is occurring because of most of them were just imagining. It is since then that I emphasize saying go for the real. However, like if you search through Mother's book on imagination, you will find the profound importance of imagination. So you can use imagination as a stepping tool and then go to that state. You can use, for sure, go ahead with that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
everybody.
you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Yeah.